Good, what's good, what's good, what's good, what's good. Welcome to D Smith. Let's discuss. Welcome to today's session. Still doing my reaction to Jeremy Heck passing of the crown. Now I think he's on episode 6. J. Cole turn. I'm glad Jeremy didn't condense his videos to at least an hour. But great episode. Shout out to that brother right here. Let's get right into it. Welcome to the session. Let's go, man.
On a trip that would not only change his perspective of the world, but the entire trajectory of his music career. Prior to this, he had been working. It's 2014. Kendrick Lamar is visiting South Africa on a trip that would not only change his perspective of the world, but the entire trajectory of his music career. Prior to this, he had been working diligently on the follow-up to his critically acclaimed album, Good Kid, Mad City. But because of this trip, he actually scrapped 2 to 3 projects worth of recorded material.
It don't happen that quick. Or when was the realization for you that you gonna be all right, that we gonna be all right?
That I'm gonna be all right. When I went to Africa and I got to see other people's problems, they struggle maybe 10 times harder. Was raised, crazier than what I was. Going out there really inspired. I wrote a lot of records off the album just by visiting South Africa and being able to move around like I did. And that was the moment I knew, okay, I can either pimp this situation or I can fall victim to it.
Shout out to Rob Markman. We'll get back to this interview in the next episode. Kendrick said this: I felt like I belonged in Africa. I saw all of the things that I wasn't taught. Probably one of the hardest things to do is put together a concept on how beautiful a place can be and tell a person this while they're still in the ghettos of Compton. I wanted to put that experience in the music. The idea was to make a record that reflected all complexions of black women. There's a separation between the light and the dark skin because it's just in our nature to do so, but we're all black. This concept came from South Africa, and I saw all these different colors speaking a beautiful language. Kendrick's producer, Soundwave, said, I remember Kendrick took a trip to South Africa and something in his mind just clicked. For me, that's when this album really started. And Dave Free said, it was vital. I don't even think the album would have been what it would have been if he didn't go get that experience. He called me one night, he was like, bro, I just went through a village. He's like, dog, I took my shirt off. And I was just with the people. He was like, they were just hugging me. They were just hugging me and they were loving me. And he's like, I never felt love like that. I never felt that much love in one place. Just love, like the energy of it. And speaking on the influence that Nelson Mandela had on him, he said, Mandela was fighting for equality, served 27 years, 18 years in that small little cell, but still kept his mental capacity and still kept his integrity and his enthusiasm to motivate not only himself, but the people around him. It inspired me 100%. I took that experience and looked within myself for my own experiences. Okay, I come from a background of a neighborhood that wasn't so much perceived to be great, but I can't let these 4 corners define who I am or define who my homeboys are. I took that experience, and the whole concept about To Pimp a Butterfly was to share that experience with them, to go back to Compton and to tell them what I've learned. It was me explaining my experiences and what emotions it brought up from that experience, and tell them, yo, it's something bigger than Compton and where we're from. Of course, you hear the Mandela inspiration on the song Mortal Man. You hear some of the themes that Kendrick mentioned on songs like Complexion and throughout the entire.
Crazy, and individuals think Drake can mess with Kendrick Lamar. Come on, man. 2 different levels to this
album. And Kendrick even referenced how important this trip was all the way in 2024 on Gloria. 2014, I went to Africa, baby, you was my passenger. Meanwhile, J. Cole had the idea that he wanted to buy back his childhood home, and the address of that home was 2014 Forest Hills Drive, which would also be the name of his album that drops this year. Cole spent some of his formative years there, and when his mom was evicted, he had it in his mind that one day he would buy that place back. This was the year. Cole rented a place in LA and was focused on making a concept surrounding this house and the journey he's been on and putting it into the music. He was more locked in than ever. One of the biggest influences that Cole had on him this year was actually the study and practice of meditation. He started off by looking into transcendental meditation, and eventually he made meditation a daily practice, which helped free up his mind so that he could create some of his best work. As someone who's practiced meditation almost daily for the past 8 years, I will tell you, if you have not experienced it, it is life-changing, and you don't need to completely get every thought out of your mind. Really, all it is sitting still, being at one with yourself, and realizing that your thoughts are not you, that you as a soul is something higher, something special, something God-made, and all the worldly things around you, including your thoughts, are things that are coming into your mind, but aren't exactly you. I'd recommend, if people do want to start, searching up 5-minute guided meditations on YouTube for whatever you're going through. For anxiety, for stillness, for calmness, for motivation, whatever you're going through, just sit with a 5-minute guided meditation, continue to focus on your breath, and see what it does for you, and let me know if you did try this out for the first time because of this video. Hit me on Twitter or Instagram or in the comments and let us know your experience. For most of the year, J. Cole would be locked in and focused on making his album. But we'll be back to Cole closer to album time. Before that, we have a lot to cover. Drake started the year off by performing and hosting at Saturday Night Live. This was his second time doing it. And this was also a show that Kendrick started off year 2013 performing at, where he performed a song that Drake was featured on, but Drake was not there. And they performed almost exactly a year apart. And it seemed like Drake had a point to prove that he was different from his peers in the fact that he could act, he could host, that he was an all-around talent. And if you think I'm reaching and just connecting this to Kendrick out of nowhere, listen to what Drake himself said about the performance. He said, "I wanted to prove that there's distance between me and the people you consider to be my peers. I have something special." Once again, this could be a reference to Control, where he didn't necessarily see these guys as peers. He knew that the public viewed them as his peers. He was looking at Jay-Z and Kanye and Wayne as his biggest competition still. But he would be competing with those guys and Kendrick at the Grammys this year. Drake had 5 nominations at this year's Grammys, including Best Rap Performance, which started from the bottom. And Drake and Kendrick were nominated alongside each other for Best Rap Song with F and Problems, which would have been hilarious on so many levels had they both won a Grammy for that song, but hey, didn't happen. Drake decided not to show up to the Grammys that night and instead was spotted at a club with Rihanna. He said this about Rhea at the time: "She's the ultimate fantasy. I mean, think about it. Like, man, that would be good. We have fun together. She's cool and shit, but we're just friends. That's my dog for life. I'm not after pussy like I was 3 years ago when I was trying to make up for all the years when no girl would talk to me. But I haven't met somebody that makes everybody else not matter." That was wild to just read that quote. But Drake would reference his non-relationship with Rihanna on the song Days in the East that dropped this year. He had a crazy run of non-album features and songs that dropped this year with DNF, Who Do You Love, Only, Grindin', Believe Me, Never Satisfied, and his own Lucy's, Heat of the Moment, Six God, How About Now, and one of the most underrated songs in my opinion, Scheming Up. Let me know your favorite down below. People now have a joke that I say, let me know what you think in the comments below 1,000,000 times per episode, so I'm not gonna change it. You better let me know. But Drake's no-show wasn't just about hanging out with Rihanna, although that would have been reason enough in itself for most people not to show up. He was protesting, and what he said he felt was disrespect to the genre of hip-hop as a whole. He said, "It becomes more apparent how..."
Oh, he don't care about hip-hop. He don't... Apparently, he do not care about hip-hop. He's willing to burn his whole thing down. I'm right or wrong?
Irrelevant our genre is to them. They were trying to utilize me to sell the show, requesting me to come and perform Hold On, We're Going Home, but they didn't nominate it for anything. They're calling me, emailing me every day to do some elaborate performance and bring them viewers, but I didn't get a nomination for Album of the Year. I didn't get a nomination for Song of the Year. Kendrick, on the other hand, was nominated for Album of the Year, and he was up for his first Grammys ever. His 7 nominations also included Best New Artist, Best Rap Song Collab, and more. And he ended up performing a rendition of Mad City alongside Imagine Dragons, and Some Things Don't Change, because here's Taylor Swift dancing to a song that I don't even know how you dance to with this rock band playing in the background, but she was hitting every single word while everybody else was sitting down. There's this whole side of TikTok right now that is calling Taylor Swift a narcissist for making every moment about herself at these Grammy and award show moments where she's standing up and dancing. And I guess she's been doing, listen, one thing you gotta say about her, she's been consistently doing this for decades. Kendrick even did a new verse that started with the same bars that he had been performing for years, including on the Club Paradise tour, which we played in a prior episode. where he talks about his plan B was to win your hearts before he wins a Grammy.
I need you to recognize the plan B is to win your hearts right here when we get the Grammys. My name is Kendrick Lamar.
But unfortunately, he'd have to stick to the plan B for now because Kendrick was shut out at the Grammys. Which is so funny because now people talk about him being this Grammy darling, but he didn't win it all that year, so it didn't start off that way. He performed after he had lost most of his awards, and you almost felt an extra sense of urgency and emotion and heightened energy during this because I almost thought he was going to switch that verse and say, my plan B was to win your hearts before I won a Grammy if he did win, but he kind of had to switch that verse back. In my opinion, I don't know that to be a fact. I remember feeling sad when he didn't win and seeing him have to perform, but he was a standout because of that performance and was a talk afterwards online for his stage presence. But the biggest category of the night this year was Rap Album of the Year, a category that Drake had taken home last year with his win for Take Care. But this year the competition was even tighter. You had Kendrick in there, you had Drake in there, then you had Jay-Z and Kanye West. And instead of J. Cole's Born Sinner being nominated, you had none other than Macklemore, The Heist. And with all of that competition, some of the best albums of my lifetime, some of the best albums of all time in there. The winner is Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, The Heist. Now listen, before the comment section goes crazy and slanders Macklemore's album, I know this isn't going to be shocking to anyone. It honestly will be the least shocking thing I say in this video, but I actually liked the album. Listen, there's some hits on there. He was independent, partially. It was a good album, okay? It did not deserve Album of the Year, but it was a good album. But even Macklemore didn't agree with the situation. He sent a text to Kendrick that said, "You got robbed. I wanted you to win. You should have. It's weird and sucks that I robbed you." I was going to say that during the speech. Then the music started playing and I froze. Anyways, you know what it is. Congrats on this year and your music. Appreciate you as an artist and as a friend. Much love. Then he reposted that screenshot of the text to Instagram and included another caption that said, "I texted Kendrick after the show. He deserved Best Rap Album. I'm honored and completely blown away to win anything, much less 4 Grammys. But in that category, he should have won, in my opinion. And that's taking nothing away from The Heist, just giving Good Kid, Mad City his proper respect. With that being said, thank you to the fans. You're the reason we were on that stage tonight, and to play Same Love on that platform was a career highlight. The greatest honor of all. That's what this is about. Progress and art. Thank you, #Grammys. Of course, that year Macklemore was on stage performing Same Love, while Queen Latifah was an ordained minister and giving marriages to a few gay couples on stage. But Kendrick had this to say about the move when he was asked about it in an interview.
I think it was uncalled for, to be 100 with you. When he sent it to me, I was like, okay, I could see him feeling that type of way because he's a good dude. But I think for confirmation from the world, you know, he probably felt like he had to put it out there, which he didn't need to do. He didn't need to do, but they don't take nothing away from him anyway because I know where his heart is at. He cool. He a cool dude, but you know, sometimes the car falls like that when you.
Well, and I think he felt bad, man. And honestly, I don't know if a lot of people know, he came on Hot 97 before he won, and said that he thought that, you know, he was going to end up getting the award because of things that he didn't believe he deserved. And then he came back on afterwards and said the same thing again. Like, he really felt like you had the best album. And I think everybody knows the politics of it, where it was just kind of like, here's this white kid who had top 40 success. So he was kind of on the radar of all the old people that vote in the Grammy Academy.
Yeah, definitely. But, you know, it all boils down to how I feel. And, you know, winning awards and accolades is great, but it's not confirmation of success for me. You know what I'm saying? Going out here and looking at a kid and say, this song changed my life. I was going to do something to myself last night, you know, but I popped this tape in. That's confirmation. You know what I'm saying? So,
the fact that he just said tape is why I love this guy.
And Drake, of course, had his own reaction. In that interview with Rolling Stone, he said, "That was whack as fuck. I was like, you won. Why are you posting your text message? Just chill. Take your W, and if you feel you didn't deserve it, go get better. Make better music. It felt cheap. It didn't feel genuine. Why do that? Why feel guilt? You think those guys would pay homage to you?"
Of course, Drake being a bitch ass nigga. Of course he is. Of course he is. Mind your business.
This is how the world works. He made a brand of music that appealed to more people than me, Hov, Kanye and Kendrick. Whether people want to say it's racial or whether it's just a fact that he tapped into something we can't tap into, that's just how the cards fall. Own your shit. But you can tell this also stemmed from the fact that he only mentioned Kendrick and not him when it came to who undeniably had the best album that year, because Drake felt like his work was something that lived up to Kendrick's, if not better, in his mind. He said this: to just name Kendrick, that shit made me feel like, no, in that case, you robbed everybody. We all need text messages. But the drama from that Rolling Stone cover doesn't end there. Back to that.
That's what the ego, old boy ego, is just too feelings hurt. Ego feelings hurt, and being a B man, being a female with all these emotions. That is Drake. Am I lying?
In a minute. My name is Jeremy Hecht, and welcome to Passing of the Crown, a 16-part YouTube series diving into the come-up and journey of the big three known as J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and Drake. We started at the year 2009, so if you're here and you just found this video but you want to catch up here's the playlist. Go back, watch the videos, binge them, come back here, and if you've been along for the journey, all I ask is that you hit the like button, leave me a comment, subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss future videos. And that's it. Let's get back to the story. So speaking of that Rolling Stone interview, it actually caused a lot of controversy for a lot of reasons. And it would end up even sparking a back and forth with the guys that Drake was considering his competition beyond his peer group. Drake had a cover story with them, but then last minute when Philip Seymour Hoffman died, they put him on the cover instead of Drake. Rest in peace to Philip Seymour Hoffman. Drake tweeted, "They also took my cover from me last minute and ran the issue."
Of course he was gonna get mad. Of course he's gonna get mad. Of course. It's crazy. Kendrick seen this coming. On all the little things dude get pissed about. Dude, they took your cover. Who cares? Who cares? Oh my God, man. This is funny. This is funny.
I'm disgusted with that. R.I.P. to Philip Seymour Hoffman. All respect due, but the press is evil. Drake would reference this in his "If You're Reading This" album on the song "You and the Six," where he said, "Gotta be careful around Rolling Stone or anyone that's trying to throw stones at me, mama." But beyond the cover, they put comments into the final version of the interview that Drake said he thought were off the record. He said, "I never commented on Yeezus for my interview portion of Rolling Stone. I'm done doing interviews for magazines." The quote in question was Drake speaking about Kanye's Yeezus, where he said this: "There were some real questionable bars on there, like that Swag Healy line. Come on, man. Even Fabulous wouldn't say some shit like that." Damn, why did Fabulous catch a stray? Fab had to have been reading that somewhere like, damn, what'd you say fuck me for? But he also did say, "Kanye's the reason I'm here. I love everything about that guy." But I don't know if that made up for the slight diss. But it wasn't just Kanye, it was also Jay-Z. While attending an exclusive art exhibit with the writer, Drake had some quotes that ended up in the article that he didn't think were a part of the interview and maybe thought were just in casual conversation. But his feelings about Jay's current raps were made clear when he said, "It's like Hove can't drop bars these days without at least 4 art references. I would love to collect at some point, but I think the whole rap/art world thing is getting kind of corny." But he did give praise to both of them and their song "People in Paris." Yes, People in Paris. In the story it said, "When Drake hears a song he wishes he'd made, in quote, I get physically sick," he says, adding, "It doesn't happen often. It happened in 2011 when he heard Jay-Z and Kanye's song "People in Paris" from Watch the Throne. I was like, how did I not think of that? Ball so hard that shit cray. It was real rap shit, but it felt melodic."
Hello. People's in Paris, man. Come on, bro. Come on. Niggas in Paris. And you think this guy is part of the culture or for the culture? Cap. No.
All the cadences felt so good. The song directly inspired started from the bottom, he says, challenging him to come up with a rapped hook just as catchy as the sung one. So clearly, whereas Drake inspired Watch the Throne in a lot of ways, the Throne inspired Drake equally. And before this interview semi-damaged his friendships with both of them, he did say he was on good terms with the Throne and said that Kanye and me are friends, we're plotting on getting some work done together, And then Drake says, and Jay, who will text him words of encouragement, recently called him the Kobe Bryant of hip-hop, which, sidebar, is hilarious because last episode I said that it probably bothered Drake that Kendrick made the album artwork for his Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe remix with Jay-Z, a picture of Michael Jordan and Kobe. And I think this actually might be where Drake kind of switches his frame of mind and became the LeBron James rather than Kobe.
Hey, Kendrick know how to poke. Kendrick, this pick know how to poke at Drake bitch ass, man, and get him all in his feelings. He know what to say, dude. Drake in his feelings right now. Trying to win this lawsuit. I'm right or wrong.
Even though J. Cole also thought of himself as LeBron James and Hove as Michael Jordan. But everyone can at least agree that Jay-Z was mine. But let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. The story continues. Not long ago, though, the air between the three seemed cooler, with Drake and the pair trading thinly veiled barbs in their music. I didn't know barbs was a term for disses. I'm just feeling like the throne is for the taking, watch me take it. Drake rapped in one such moment of provocation, Hove baiting, emphasis added. It was a lack of communication paired with natural competitiveness, Drake says, explaining the friction. When something monumental is happening in front of me, i.e. the Throne album, and everyone's paying attention to it, you gotta say, I'm still here. But those two are gods to me. Oh, Kid Cudi is walking in front of the camera. Which is interesting because if you remember in my 2011 video, Drake denied that actually being a shot towards the Throne and said that it was just kind of an at-the-field competitive bar. He said, you'll know when I'm going at you. But here he seems to admit that it was a bar towards them. What smoothed things over with Kanye was a favor trade. The Chicago MC asked Drake to perform at a private birthday party for, in quotes, some kid. Drake says, Drake in turn asked Kanye to drop in on OVO Fest, Drake's annual Toronto festival, where they exchanged praise and a big hug on stage. And while it might have been all good in his on-again, off-again bromance with Kanye West, this would spark a light back and forth on record with Jay-Z. Jay's shots were actually pretty direct at Drake. He went on Drake's We Made It beat with Jay Electronica, and he said this: sorry Mrs. Drizzy for so much art talk, silly me rapping about shit that I really bought, while these rappers rap about guns they ain't shot and a bunch of other silly shit that they ain't got. Drake replied back a month later on draft day where he says, just hits, no misses, that's for the married folk. Tell them fix my suite up cause I'm coming home. I heard they talking crazy, I was out of town. You know they love to pop all that shit when I'm not around. But when I'm here, not a sound, that'll make them snap, jot it down, go in the booth and lay a body down. Basically saying, listen, cause Drake was touring in Europe at the time, so he was like, oh, we're going at it now? Okay, wait till I get home. Let me get ready. I'm here. I did really like that bar. Just hits, no misses. That's for the married folk. Jay-Z and Beyonce being married, misses. I like that double entendre. Then he said, how the game turned into the Drake show. Dog, what the fuck happened to so-and-so? Where did they go? Too worried about bitches and fashion. They go missing in action. And then you never notice they missing. And while Kanye was heavily focused on Yeezy and his fashion career at the moment, and less on music, this could have been a shot at him. It also could have been an ASAP shot, but you guys let me know who you think that was towards. And even though Kanye may have thought it was a shot at him, publicly on the Yeezus tour he said this: they always be trying to pit us against each other and it ain't going down no more, so tonight it ain't none of that, we love Drake. Also, Drake took a little jab at Chance the Rapper on that song, who had aimed a little shot at him prior to where Chance had said, sing all you want, just don't Drake on they ass, on a 2012 song called Family, before he was really popping. But Drake said, you should have followed all my...
Hey, just know Drake ain't write none of this. He ain't write none of it. Just know that.
Moves you won't realize till after. And if I left this shit to Chance, I would have picked a name like Chance the Rapper. Yeah, no offense, because I don't know him. But eventually Chance and Drake did link up together, so hopefully he got to know him a little better. But back to Jay. Drake took some more shots in an interview while sitting courtside at a Toronto Raptors game. They were playing Jay's Brooklyn Nets. But he said, this is the people's team, the Toronto Raptors. Jay-Z is somewhere eating a fondue plate.
You know what I mean? Toronto Raptors. Jay-Z somewhere eating a fondue plate.
Oh, we got the Drake and Jay-Z shit going.
Yeah, it's our time where, you know, we gotta play, we gotta keep it competitive. It's an ironic matchup.
If you're like, what the heck did he just say? Where did that come from? Every time there was a block, the announcer for Toronto would say this.
DeMar DeRozan, look at this! Get that out of here! Get the what? Get that garbage out of here! None of that, you know what? In here!
But Jay fired back on a song called They Don't Love You No More with DJ Khaled, which is interesting because, of course, DJ Khaled has such a long history with Drake on songs. But Khaled isn't really known for loyalty or really for standing up for anything at all. So it's not super surprising. But Jay said this. Dudes talking down on the crown. Watch the people you round, got you wound. Haters want a ball, let me tighten up my drawstring. Wrong sport, boy. You know you're soft as a lacrosse team, which I will say, having seen a lot of people growing up playing lacrosse, it's really not as soft as you might think. In fact, it's actually a pretty physical sport. You're not wearing as much equipment as hockey, but people are body checking each other, slashing each other's legs with a pretty hard metal stick. Sounded crazy. I don't know if that needs a pause. All I'm saying is lacrosse is a tougher sport than Jay might have thought, so I will forgive his ignorance on the Canadian sport and his lack of lacrosse awareness. Drake dropped 0.
So Jeremy is Canadian, but hey, it is what it is. Jay-Z was right.
100 in the summer, and on there he was talking like he was at the top of the game, and some of these bars could have been taken as shots by Kanye, by Jay, and some even by Kendrick, but let's go through them. He said, she ain't ready for it. If I ain't the greatest, then I'm headed for it. Yeah, that means I'm way up. The other night lavishly told me that I'm all these people listen to. She said they love me unconditional. Imagine how it feels to watch another dude at the top. You know that if you wasn't you would be dissing you, dog. Damn, okay, from that perspective, I see what you're talking about. No way to soften that, because me, I was trying to find out where I lost them at, but maybe I lose them at all. Maybe I keep moving forward, and they're just stagnant. They ain't moving at all. But when they need a favor, who do they call? Maybe I'm searching for the problems, asking what was said and who was involved, too focused on people's feedback and proving them wrong. They say the shoe can always fit no matter whose foot it's on. These days feel like I'm squeezing in them. Whoever wore them before just wasn't thinking big enough. I'm about to leave them with them, because if I run the game in these, man, the seams are splitting, no pun intended, but they smelling defeat in the air, headed where nobody took it, who meeting me there. So those bars could have been towards Jay or Kanye. The shoe bars could have even been towards Kendrick, as we heard on Push-Ups, the size 7 men's bars. Maybe Drake has always made small shoe bars referencing Kendrick Lamar. Because if you look at Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City, and the critical acclaim, and even the Control verse and the attention he garnered from there, maybe he did have that crown, or in this case, the shoe was on his foot, but now Drake is saying, like, your shoes are kind of small. I've got the crown, I've got the shoe on now, and I could barely fit my feet in them. A, could just be, physically the shoe, but also B, he says he's...
What happened to... I thought J. Cole had a crown, man. This episode is all about Drake. I thought J. Cole had the crown in this episode. What's going on, Jeremy? Come on, man.
Thinking bigger, he's thinking more about the future. He's taking it to the next level. And keep in mind the shoe reference for later in this video. But these last bars, I think, were subs at Jay and Kanye, where he says, yeah, been on the move like the lease is up, and I can't even name one person that's keeping up. Damn. F how it was in the past tense. Ask yourself, how do we match up now? Because I'm only 27 and I'm only getting better. If I haven't passed you yet, watch me catch up now for real. Again, the song was called The Catch Up. Who's he catching up to? His idols, Jay-Z, Kanye, Lil Wayne. But Drake was not done with beefs for the year. In fact, his back and forth with Kendrick would continue to heat up. This time in one of Kendrick's more scathing verses, where he makes it clear that their friendship is done. I tell him, all hail King Kendrick, resurrecting my vengeance. Been dissecting your motor mouth till I break down the engine. Remember, last episode I said, watch out for that motor mouth lyric from Drake's The Language on Nothing Was the Same. This how you know this is directed towards Drake. This ain't no warning shot. This a real opponent than cease your existence. Ending our friendship, baby. I'd rather die alone. Again, he's making it.
So I just posted a video from the Joe Budden podcast when Kendrick, Kendrick went in hiding for 5 years, but came back. And Joe Budden, he was like ahead of the curve and said, be prepared, Drake. Kendrick is coming for your head, for your dome. 2025, you see what happened. Iceman has not dropped yet. A whole year of promo. Iceman has not dropped yet. Not like us. The kill shot. The digging of the dirt thrown on that boy grave. The suing. Oh boy, bitch ass sued.
pretty clear, no new friends for Kendrick here either. Your diaphragm is dietary, what you're eating on. Capture your audience with these words, boy. Notice the boy here. Also notice the mention of audience, because we're going to get back to that next year when Drake replies. The Holy Chapel, the Tabernacle, the Book of Matthew, and Jesus staring at you. Take your turn, boy. See, it's going to take a whole lot of y'all to kill me. See, it's going to take a whole tribe of y'all to kill me. I never die. Which, Drake being Jewish, me being Jewish also, but I have read the New Testament, and the Pharisees, who were Jewish high priests at the time, were scared of Jesus because of his influence and continuously growing following amongst the Jewish people. And Jesus also wasn't afraid to call them out. He wasn't afraid to flip tables. He also wasn't afraid to call out the Pharisees for them following the rules of the Bible, but not following God's message and the actual meaning behind the words and acting holier than that. And they were partially responsible for Jesus' death because of how much of a threat he was becoming to their power structure. Now, Jesus resurrected, and Kendrick even ends his verse by saying, "You can never live in my shoes." Shoes? Shoes. Remember shoes. Permanently paid from God. The craziest part about this whole song, though, is the hook was sung by Chantel Kreviasek, not only a Winnipeg legend, Winnipeg represent if you're in the comments, my hometown, but she also was the person to sing the hook on Over My Dead Body, the intro to Drake's Take Care album. Also one of Drake's best songs ever. But I bet you Chantel Kreviasek had no idea that she was in the middle of one of the most heated rap battles of all time, and she was probably just singing melodies. Great woman. But what do you think of this Kendrick verse? In a beef not as intense, Tyga called out Drake and said that their relationship in Young Money was a bit forced, and he didn't really like Drake. Tyga was asked, is Young Money a part of the creative process on this album? He said, nah, I tend to distance myself from them. Are you trying to break out on your own? Yeah, I'm trying to go independent. I don't really get along with Drake. I don't really get along with Nicki, which seems so unprompted, but he was clearly ready to get this into the world. When asked why, he said, I don't like Drake as a person. He's just fake to me. I like his music. You know what I'm saying? I think his music is good, but we're all
crazy. People been saying this guy has been fake for years. How many people have been saying this? Fake, 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 fake.
Different people. We were forced together, and it was kind of like we were forcing relationships together. It is what it is. But I've been friends with Chris Brown for like 6 years. That's my real, genuine friend. We hang out all the time. He lives up the street from me, so we don't just do music, we hang. I think being signed to Young Money, everybody felt like they had to force a relationship because Wayne put us together. At the end of the day, the reason why I signed to Young Money is because of Wayne, not because of Drake, not because of Nicki. It was because of Wayne and my relationship with him. I try to be cool with everybody, but sometimes everybody just has different personalities, motives, and different characters. When you realize that, you realize that's not a place where you want to continue to grow. Then Drake responded in classic Drake fashion at the time and liked a picture of Black China, who Tyga had dated, and posted a picture on Instagram of Kylie Jenner, who Tyga was dating, which is problematic for other reasons. But even Birdman replied,
"Because I need your take on it from the boss perspective."
I ain't never see that happening. And still,
So the Kylie Jenner, the age thing. Do your research. Do your Googles. Do your Chat GPT or your Geminis or whatever you use for AI, man. Do your research.
I haven't got to the bottom of none of that.
Have you spoken to either one of them?
The Drake all the time. He texts me all the time. We always talk, and I don't really know what's happening with all that. You know?
Ironically, this is the year that Wayne and Drake went on the Drake versus Lil Wayne tour, which was this the original verses before it became like the Instagram versus thing? Did this start versus? And they played their hits back to back on that tour. And Drake would eventually respond to Tyga, but we'll get to that next year. But speaking of social media, this is the year where Cole and Drake's mindsets went in complete different directions. Cole said he would search his name up on Twitter all the time, and he basically cared way too much what people would think of him, so he had to actually stop using social media and get off his phone. So he stopped going on Twitter, stopped searching his name up, and started focusing inward on himself. Meanwhile, Drake seemed to double down and lean into social media, and even though he also was very aware of what people were saying about him, he leaned into it. He said, there's these gifts about me, these stupid stereotypes people have of me as this overly emotional character that cries in his room every night. There are jokes because of Degrassi, because I'm Canadian, because I make music for women. There are memes of guys crying to my music. I love it. I heart those photos when I see them on Instagram. And while on that art exhibit from the Rolling Stone article that got him in trouble with Jay-Z, he told the writer of that Rolling Stone article that he wishes he could have had his phone inside of the exhibit to take a selfie as the ultimate stunt. The article continued by saying, inside the next installation, a LACMA guy named Jason says something like, if you look long enough, you'll notice that your sense of depth begins to ... But Drake is busy having his assistant snap pictures of him. In one shot, Drake throws up his arms in a crucifix pose. He gazes off Morrisley in a different sides of that mindset. Even their mindsets on materialism seem to be at completely different ends of the spectrum. You could also tell that so much of what was going on in America was informing J. Cole's thinking process, his free time, and of course, his...
If I'm speaking my mind and saying how I truly feel, I might say one thing that connects the dots for somebody that might have been the right connection that was needed to like do something, to change the world or something.
Seems like he took hold of his own power within the system and wanted to provide something positive to it. He told a story about seeing Drake's Rolex and feeling like he needed to catch up to where Jersey was, eventually buying a Rolex of his own.
Don't mean that, man. Jay got jewelry. Oh man, I want to be icy like that. I remember I seen Drake at a show. It was in like Toronto. It was a Jay-Z show. He came out, and then mind you, he's like on fire. Cause So Far Gone was out. I think I just had the warm up out. When I met him, he had the rollie. Bro, it's so cold. Like, and you want it. Like you see things. It's marketing. He wasn't marketing it to me, but somebody marketed it to him that like Rolex is important. And like I seen it on him or seen it on Jay, and like. Oh, gotta have one. I got a few.
Yeah, you got a few, right?
You hit the point in my life now where it's like I'm a grown man and I realize like I'm questioning why did I want it, and then what did it do for me when I got it. Not judgmental at all. Have it things. Don't place value on the thing. It's just a thing.
Cole may have ditched materialism. It seemed like Drake doubled down on it. In that interview, he talked about wanting to have the biggest residential pool in the world and buying that house for that reason because it had such a big pool. And he said that he was getting an Olympic-sized pool built indoors for his Toronto mansion that was being built at that time. His LA house was even called the YOLO Mansion. But the biggest realization that J. Cole had this year was that of appreciating what you have and loving the people around you that have genuine love for you. Appreciating where you're at, reflecting on the journey, and being grateful for how much love you have in your life. These are themes that carried throughout Cole's album, but also he speaks about it so clearly in his interviews.
The system we live in, the system of capitalism, teaches every person is for you and for your benefit only, for your life and for your monetary gain. Every man for himself mentality. I don't know the alternative. I don't even know if it exists. But capitalism is like, it's just paid slavery. It's the same thing as, it's the same setup as slavery. Only difference was slaves wasn't getting paid. But it's the same setup. I own this plantation. You are at the bottom. I got some managers right here that oversee the field. They get paid a little more than you, but they ain't that much better than you, better off than you. They feel better because they on top of you. You ain't that guy. That guy's milking everybody.
But in order to really understand what was inspiring J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar's music this year, you have to understand what was going on in America. On July 17, 2014, Eric Garner was pinned to the ground by a New York City police officer, and while he was on the ground, he yelled out, "I can't breathe," 11 times. He was accused of illegally selling cigarettes, yet somehow, in the eyes of the officer, the appropriate response was...
So, this is what separates Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole from Drake bitch ass. They can speak on these issues, even though Drake has some black in him. He will not touch these issues. His fans will not touch these issues. So going forward, there will ever be a divide from Kendrick, J. Cole. I'm putting them in the same category versus old boy bitch ass. Drake is gonna forever get the smoke, and his fans gonna have to accept that because of issues like these.
Was to pin him down to his death and not let up. The death was ruled a homicide, but yet a grand jury decided not to prosecute him. The officer was later fired and a settlement was given to Garner's family, but justice was not served. Then on August 9th, 2014, Michael Brown was killed by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri. Reported witnesses claimed that Brown had his hands up signaling surrender and said, "Don't shoot," yet he was shot 6 times anyways. This led to massive peaceful protests and marches that included people wearing "Don't Shoot" signs and having their hands up. The response by the city was, escalated police presence in the area, and there was a massive uproar, with the response being so overly militarized to mostly peaceful protests. On November 24th, Officer Wilson was not indicted by a grand jury, who cleared him of all civil rights violations in the shooting, concluding that he shot in self-defense. On November 22nd, 12-year-old Tamir Rice was shot and killed by a Cleveland police officer after reports that he was holding...
It's crazy because, I'm just making a correlation real quick. Look who's buying all the media companies. Look who's buying all the media companies. So some of these stories will not even get out in the next couple of years because the people who's buying this media company. That's a different subject, but once again, there's a difference between Kendrick and oh boy, bitch ass.
Gun, when in fact, the only thing that he was holding was a toy. Once again, a grand jury refused to indict the officer, and once again, a payout was given to Rice's family, but no justice was served. And at this point, after so much public pain and trauma, and repeatedly no justice being served, people were understandably fed up, and protests continued around the country. This is the backdrop that was taking place while all of these artists were working on their new music. In fact, J. Cole was so furious as to what was going on that he actually flew down to Ferguson to join the protests and talk to the people. And you could tell he didn't even really want to be there to do interviews, although he did do this interview with Jinx from Complex. Shout out to Jinx, one of my favorite journalists of all time.
Man, first I want to ask you is, what made you come down to Ferguson?
Same reason everybody else is in Ferguson, my brother.
Okay. I mean,
by the way, I ain't coming out here to do no interviews, so this interview is a little uncomfortable for me, no disrespect to you. The only reason I'm doing this is because my man, Damien, works for Complex, and I love this guy to death. So we ain't come down here to do no interviews. We ain't come down here to talk to no press. We came down here to...
Facts.
Because this is just
Facts.
and we want to be a part of this just like everyone else want to be a part of this. So that's why we're here.
I understand, man. I want to ask you, do you think that artists owe their fans experiences like this and to come down here and perform some type of activism?
No, artists owe whatever they feel. Whatever hits you and you inspire to do, that's what you owe. So if you're an artist that don't care and it didn't hit you yet, I mean, hopefully one day it does, you know what I mean? It to each his own. This is what, this is what I felt. I ain't going to knock the next man for not doing it. You know, do I wish more did it? Yes.
Yeah.
You know, but everybody's at where they life, and everybody's at a certain place where they life. So a week ago, I wasn't in this place.
Yeah.
And something happened that made me get to this place. So I can't knock the next man for not being in that place yet. I hope one day they get there because it matters, you know what I mean? Like,
it does.
It matters. Like, it could have been you, could have been me, could have been our best friend.
Come on, J. Cole. You let Drake use you, man? You way too smart for this. To let Drake bitch ass use you, man. That's crazy.
It could have been whoever, and we have to understand that.
What was your perception when you first heard the news about Michael Brown a week ago?
My perception was, unfortunately, the same perception I had when the man got choked out in Staten Island, and the same reaction I had when the man just graduated college in Charlotte, got in a terrible car accident, survived the car.
Shout out to J. Cole for during this time speaking up. I never knew who did this interview. For speaking up on the causes, man, which once again Drake would never do. Drake is not part of the black community. It is what it is. And yes, I'm making this about Drake bitch ass. That's why the other side of it, that's why his fans can keep him. His fans can keep him for sure. J. Cole, you can come on back. You can come on home, brother. You can come on. You can come home, brother.
Went to the lady house, knocked on the door for help. She thought he was robbing her, of course, because he's black at your door. She called the cops. They taser him. He dies. The same reaction I had then. Damn, again, this is fucked up. That was my reaction. Now that's sad. I'm ashamed that I had that reaction because we always had that reaction. For years, that's how we be feeling. It's so regular, we just like, damn, that's fucked up again. It happened and niggas be like, damn, another one? Yeah. You know how we do it, like, another one? And the most we get is like, man, shit fucked up, bro. You keep it light. You know what I mean? And then, so when I'm reading the article, I got mad at myself, like, you can't just keep being like, the dude got choked out Staten Island. I wouldn't watch the video because I heard about it, read the articles. I'm like, man, I couldn't watch the video. I was like, I don't want to see that. I'm tired of this. Like, I don't want to see it. So the same article, like, detail this, showed that video was Staten Island. And I was like, you can't hide from it. I press play. I start balling, crying, period. Because when you see them, you're like, yo, stop, man. Maybe y'all got shit. Y'all ain't doing nothing. Y'all always come out and fucking hear it. Like, yo, stop. Y'all do this all the time. Next thing you know, me and this man was sitting in the crib talking about this all the time. This is fucked up. And we was young and we was 20 and we was passionate. It's like life goes on and niggas start worrying about Instagram and reality TV and what's popping, and I got kids and life happens and it's a lot of distractions. But I unfortunately last week it was the same old damn that's fucked up.
J. Cole has kids. We know Kendrick, we know old boy, but do J. Cole has kids? I don't know.
And this week it's like, what can we do? You know what I mean? What can we do? You know, and it's kids out here that's, man, being out here, you talking to people. When you come out here, you feel the humbleness. You talk when it's time to talk. Really, you come out here and listen to what your people have to say. I'm out here just listening. I talk when it feels like it's time to talk. I've been out here all day like this.
And he feel like he can do that and get away with it, because we don't value ourselves. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? We start here first. I'm not gonna shoot and kill you. You know what I mean? That ain't how it go down. I feel I'm a human being. I feel bad. If we add value to ourselves, they ain't got no choice but to add value to us. And we way too valuable for that. What would the world be without young black men? Black men, period. You know what I mean? For real. You know what I mean? And if y'all don't listen to J. Cole, y'all better listen to him, because this is the perfect man here for it. You say real music, I don't know if you know who you stand up, but that's real music. You know what I mean? You know, but listen, I'm saying it's like you saying that, I just want to let you know, this is real. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just saying this because everybody out there.
Music will change when we change. Exactly. It's just a reflection. It ain't. The music ain't doing it. The music, what we talking about, what we listen to, I listen to it too. I'm in the club listening to it too. You listening to it because we still in it. So when we change, you'll see 10 years from now, we change from right here. We do because we want justice for this young boy. But we would be doing him an injustice if this didn't lead to everybody coming together and looking at each other like, yo, you my brother. If you died, real got killed, even though I don't know you, I would feel, I don't care if this man killed you, and I don't either one of y'all. I gotta start feeling like this shit gotta stop. The same way as if that white man killed this black boy. So I'm saying, when that starts and that changes, if we don't do that from here and pivot off of that and use it for us, then we doing him an injustice. It ain't just about this white man going to jail. You know, like, yeah, you better go to jail. It ain't about that, because it's bigger than that.
You know who else was in Ferguson, actually? Was Macklemore. Ties into a lot this year. And J. Cole mentions Macklemore on his song Fire Squad on the album. So, a little Macklemore through line to this video. Cole even released an emotional song called Be Free, where he sings about the events and, despite the progress, how little has changed for black Americans. And instead of performing a single off of his album like artists usually would do on a press run, because his album had just dropped, during his Letterman performance, he debuted a live new verse on that song and performed it in what I consider one of the most powerful music live television moments of all time.
Forget this chain, cause this ain't me. Though I'm eternally grateful to Jay-Z. We're so elated, we celebrated like Obama waited until his last day in office to tell the nation brothers is getting their reparations. Hey, a man can dream, can he? No disrespect in terms of change, I haven't seen any. Maybe he had good intentions, but was stifled by the system and was sad to learn he actually couldn't bring any. That's what I get for thinking this world is fair. They let a brother steer the ship and never told him that the ship was sinking. But I got other think about, like my bank account. Forget that watch, you paid too much for it. You ought to be ashamed when brothers back home be dreaded when the seasons change. Cause they ain't got no heat and they ain't got no AC. Walmart distribution, find my homie, he just had a baby. You wonder why it's been so many B&Es lately, while brothers from the hood shooting like this is TNT lately. And since all the ballers leaving college early, I turn on the TV and don't see no brothers with degrees lately. Are we all alone? Fighting on our own. Please give me a chance. I don't wanna dance. Something's got me down. I will stand my ground. Don't just stand around. Don't just stand around.
Oh my God, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Fantastic. Great. Oh boy. J. Cole, beautiful.
I still got emotional rewatching that. Even Letterman was shocked. His hoodie stood for F Money, Spread Love, which was also an ongoing theme throughout not only his rollout, but his album.
Like, to me, what's real is like something spiritual connection with somebody. Like, love is real. I'm realizing that as I'm getting older. Relationship love, family love. I'm realizing how important that is. In my mind, I had to like just put my head down. I'm not calling my mom as often. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, family, my brothers, like, I'm blessed enough to have these people alive and well. It's like, I want to better those relationships because those are the rewarded things.
In my opinion, that's the best Cole interview ever with Angie Martinez, and Angie is one of the best to ever do it. Meanwhile, Kendrick was really inspired by the thought of inspiring other people and how much his word really meant lives of his fans. He seemed to be really intentional.
Keyword, inspire others. You see Kendrick and J. Cole inspire others to make change in the community. Which direction old boy go in? Let's go, man. Shout out to Jeremy Heck, man.
With every word, even more so than before, with how it's going to affect people's lives and their mindsets. And especially with his first single off his upcoming album, which was a positive self-love anthem that was a lot more upbeat than his previous music. And it actually did receive mixed reviews at the time. But Kendrick said the reason for writing the song was actually for kids that were coming up to him, he said, that were overly depressed and thinking about ending their lives. He wanted to really give them something to look forward to in life, something to feel positive about, and teach them self-love through his music.
And you put out this new single, which samples the Isley Brothers. A lot of people who love you for bars and, you know, one of the, some people could say the person that lyrically saved hip-hop with your album, Good Kid, Mad City, they're taken aback by this single. They think it's too mainstream, too soon. Like, you going pop, you going top 40 on us. Talk to us about your decision to make this your single and make this type of sound.
Yeah, I think from jump, I think the classifications of music is totally twisted, because now we have a generation where you take an Isley Brothers sample, which is soul, and now, in a world where people consider it pop, and I knew that'd come, of course, but as a leader in music, I want to revamp that whole thing and put it back to its original origins and do that, you feel what I'm saying, and not be scared to step out and say, okay, this is not that, you feel me? This is black, this is soul, and y'all kids gotta know this, you feel me? So my initial idea of writing this record was for two people. I hit Top Dog, I wrote a record for the homies that's in the penitentiary right now. And I also wrote a record for these kids that come up to my show with these slashes on their wrists, saying they don't want to live no more.
Oh, like people who cut themselves.
Yeah, it's serious. And people on the inside, they don't feel like they don't got nothing to live for. People on the outside. And I say, okay, these are my homies in the hood. If I say something this blatant, this bold, this simple.
And y'all think Drake and Kendrick is the same? No, totally two different people. Kendrick care while old boy bitch ass do not care. Where his music say, Drake bitch ass music does not say he care. I'm right or wrong? I'm right or wrong, man. Let's go.
They can take a reaction from that. They can lock your body, they can trap your mind from homies that's in the pen. For the people that's outside, you have some way more to live for. It starts with yourself first, and you won't be thinking all these negative things that's going around in the world that's completely corrupting your brain and things like that. So that was my initial idea for the record, and that's how it's playing out.
Yo, man, it's my favorite song right now.
Yeah, you love this song.
You've been loving this song.
He related it to a lot of what was going on in America when asked about the killings of Michael Brown and Eric Garner in an interview, and he said, I remember me coming up in the city of Compton and having these same type of ordeals, not as dramatic, but in the same situation. So when I make a record like this is not just about me, it's not about a single. This is not about how many songs can be sold on MediaBase. Shout out to DJ Head. It's about what's going on in real life, actual, factual. He even talks about this single helping him every morning and being a motivator for him. He said, this is a song that I have to use as a psyche every day, which is another reason why I made it. Sometimes I wake up and I feel like my self-worth is at a low, just like the person that's listening to it. It's bigger than just a good tune. It's really a psychological catchphrase that has to be reminded every day when we wake up. And he was even wearing that I had to promote that self-love messaging. And the cover art actually had two rival gangs holding up a heart towards each other. But we can dive into Kendrick's album next episode. This is Cole's time. After announcing the album with very little promo besides a trailer, Cole's album 2014 Forest Hills Drive dropped on December 9th, 2014, and it became his biggest success to date. Even with it leaking a few days before, the album sold 353,000 copies first week. And it produced massive hits, including his biggest song to date, No Role Models, which is now certified diamond.
Did you know that it was going to be such a commercial success?
No. I had no clue.
When you found out that it was a commercial success, what was your reaction?
Wow. Like, I was like, oh, shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I understand to put the album out the way I did, I had to come to grips with myself because I knew it was my best, but I didn't know if no singles or no promotion would be a risk. You know what I mean? So I had decisions in my mind. Like, yo, I came through with this title, with this concept. It was given to me. It was, and it came together perfect, and I made the album that I'm so excited and ecstatic about to like give to the world. I don't give a fuck if nobody liked it. I'm loving it.
But the biggest achievement that Cole had was actually doing this without any features, which would become an even crazier meme once it went platinum with no features. But this political backdrop also informed some lyrics on Cole's project. On January 28th, he says, "What's the price for a black man's life? I check the toe tag, not 1 0 in sight. I turn the TV on, not one hero in sight. Unless he dribble or he fiddles with mics. Look out the window, cause tonight the city lit up with lights, cameras, and action. May no man alive come through and damage my faction." On that same song, he also name checks Kendrick and Drake in what felt like a bit of a control response, but also it felt like a solidification of the idea of the Big Three itself, because while Kendrick name dropped a bunch of his peers, Cole specifically name dropped the two people he felt like were his biggest competition at that time. "I don't play no games, boy, I ain't no joke. Like the great Rakim when I make my notes. You dudes might be L, or you might be Kane, or you might be Slick Rick with 19 chains, or you might be Drizzy Drake or Kendrick Lamar, but check the birthday, you ain't the God. Nah, you ain't the God, Cole the God, Cole the God, Cole the God, Cole the God." January 28th. Of course, Cole shares the same birthday as Rakim, who's known as the God MC, and he's basically saying, nobody compares to God. No man can compare to God, so you can't compare to Cole the God MC. We share the same birthday, me and Rakim. But it felt like he was basically coming for the crown, and he was saying he wanted that top spot, at least on that song. He also praised on the song that the three of them won't let competition get in between their friendships, which is ironic considering everything that happened. But he says, "Think we need a plan of action. The bigger we get, more likely egos collide. It's just physics. Please let's put our egos aside, you my dudes, and should our worst tendencies turn us into enemies, I hope that we remember these nights full of Hennessy. When hope around, we switch up to that Duce. Gotta show respect, one day we trying to stay where you stay." But even though I think Cole took the crown this year with his best album yet, he metaphorically takes that crown and throws it to the ground and smashes it on the end of the song Fire Squad, where he says, "We all kings. Kings of ourselves first and foremost," which is also a similar message that Kendrick was portraying in I. While the people debate who's the king of this rap game, here comes Lil Old Jermaine with every ounce of strength in his veins to snatch the crown from whoever y'all think has it. But rather than place it on his head, as soon as he grabs it, poof, boom, pow, it's like magic. And with a flash and a bang, the crown disintegrates and falls to the earth from which it came. It's done. It's funny he says, from whoever you think had it, because I even said last year I think that Drake and Kendrick were kind of passing or snatching the crown back and forth from each other. Ain't gonna be no more kings. Be wary of any man that claims, because deep down, he clings on to the need for power. In reality, he's a coward. Ultimately, he's scared to die. And sometimes, so am I. But when I'm in tune with the Most High, I realize the fear lies in my lack of awareness of the other side. Today, I know that we are the same. We are the same, you and I. Different kind of skin, different set of eyes. Two different minds, but only one God. It's only one God. It's for all the kings. Because I know deep down, every poet just want to be loved. But next year gets even crazier. Kendrick drops his masterpiece, To Pimp a Butterfly, with his riskiest sound yet. Drake switches up his flow on If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, but then Meek Mill reveals where he got some of those flows from, and it causes a back and forth on songs between them. And J. Cole goes on his biggest tour yet, in support of his best received album so far. Let me know your favorite part of this year, and let me know what you're looking forward to in 2015. I will put that video right here.
It's too funny, man. Shout out to Jeremy Heck. Shout out to Jeremy Heck, man. Yeah, let me know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. Welcome to the session. I'm out of here, man. He kept it under an hour. Shout out to you, brother. I'm out of here, man.